Again, here's a list of some other of these countdown frauds. Piltdown Man and Java Man we've looked at briefly on Wikipedia. Nebraska Man, I can put some links to good resources to look at these things. A guy named Jay Seeger does some really good work on these. Amrutotes, airlifts, basically faked primitive tools of ape-like ancestors. Campus facial angle theory, the idea that faces got flatter the less ape-like humans were. Confuciusornis and Archaeoraptor in the kind of dinosaur fossil record. Yangon sheep and the march to progress, this idea, this picture, kind of middle right of apes becoming more human-like. Even evolutionists say that idea is a bit of a myth and a fraud.
So a number of these things on the list are fraudulent, like Piltdown Man and Nebraska Man. Java Man's a bit debated in it, but it seems like most evolutionary scientists or paleontologists believe that Java Man is genuine. There's a bit of nuance here because, like, for instance, the Archaeoraptor, that is not a fraudulent fossil. That is a transitional fossil. And then the march to progress that he references here, most evolutionists would say that's not how evolution occurs, because what it shows are these punctuated points where, you know, it seems like evolution jumps forward. Evolution's a gradual process. So we wouldn't say that, oh, it moves from ape to, you know, the standing walking ape to all that, like as if one produced the other. It's just a slight misrepresentation of how evolution works. But it's also kind of hard to represent how evolution actually works in like a simple piece of art like that. And just like the Archaeoraptor fossil, the Confuciusornis fossil is also not fraudulent. It actually was a bird species that lived in the late Jurassic, which would be roughly between 161 and 100 million years ago. It's one of the earliest known bird species with a beak and no teeth. Where the nuance comes in is that there have been some fraudulent fossils sold of Confuciusornis, but that doesn't mean that the animal that the fossils represent didn't exist. And then likewise with the Ancon sheep, those are not fraudulent at all. They are real fossils of sheep that were born with a genetic mutation for them to have short legs. This mutation that the Ancon sheep express is a recessive gene, so both parents have to have this gene in order for their offspring to present with short legs. But they are very much real fossils that were discovered in the 18th century. And what the Ancon sheep fossils prove is that this breed of sheep has been around for at least 100 years, which shows how mutation can drastically change a species. So no, all of these things right here are not all frauds. Some of them have nuance to them. Some of them are just not frauds at all whatsoever.
As well as this, here's a quote from Stephen Jay Gould. He says, the evolutionary trees, they adorn our textbooks and have data only at the tip and nodes of their branches. The rest is inference, however reasonable, not the evidence of fossils. So this whole evolutionary tree, according to a leading evolutionist, is not, what does he say? It's not the evidence of fossils.
So this right here is another quote mine, and he's trying to twist somebody's words into saying something that they're not actually saying. We can have strong inferences between different fossils because of the morphology that connects them. We can draw these lines even if we don't have fossil evidence that connects at every single point from one fossil to another. Now, what Stephen Jay Gould didn't say right there was that this representation of the fossil evidence isn't accurate to reality. He's just saying that we have inferences in there that connect these fossils together, but these are strong inferences built on fossil evidence. So this does not actually prove what he thinks it proves. All Stephen Jay Gould is saying is that we don't have fossil evidence at every single data point in there. We have to draw inferences because of how hard it is for fossils to form naturally, but also because we just don't have every single fossil or every single organism that developed in the past in our fossil record. And that's okay. But what's more important here is that even if we don't have every single fossil, every time we find a new fossil that we at one point inferred to exist, they have always been found to actually exist in the fossil record eventually. We've been able to find them. Tiktaalik is a great example of this. We were able to hypothesize hypothesize what this animal would look like, and also at what geologic layer they would be located in, and what area of the world we would expect to find them. This is the power of evolutionary theory.